What's the most horrific act committed by someone you know personally? NSFW. Murder, twice, 2 separate incidents. 1. Killed a guy in a fight, not intentional. Goes in for 10, serves 8. 2. Gets out. Another guy we knew gives him a hard time about how many times he sucked. Shot him in the face later that evening. He's not getting out. One of my childhood friends was diagnosed as schizophrenic in his early 20s, went off his meds for a bit of time, and had an episode, bludgeoned his mom to death, who was my parents' friend. They found him in a fetal position crying, and not understanding what happened. He committed suicide a few years later while in jail. My father beat the out of my mother and myself when I was a toddler. I have an uneven skull because of it. Until I found out, I thought it was a birth defect. I didn't find this out from my mother until I was an adult, when I had to take him to court because he had opened numerous credit cards with my social security number when I was a kid and had tanked my credit by the time I was 18. My uncle turned out to be a pedophile, assaulting his foster children often. The only reason he was caught and charged is because cousin managed to film him in the act and turn it into the police. He got 8 years in prison only, and my cousin committed suicide a couple of years later. May he rest in peace. I live down the road from Terry Joe Volner. He rode my bus every day, and was also a violent, horrible person. He murdered a 5-year-old because he had feelings for the kid's mom, and I guess she didn't feel the same. So he murdered one of her kids, took a picture of the child's body, and sent it to the child's mom, and told her he was going to kill her other kids, that he was babysitting, if she didn't come home right now. He got life. Then he beat his cellmate to death with his bare hands so brutally they considered the death penalty. He got life again. A guy I worked with was shacked up with a manager, and drugged her drink one night, so she'd pass out. He molested and tortured her very young son to death. Edit, just wanted to add that yes, he is in prison. It happened in Asheville, Canton, NC about 11/12-ish years ago. Guy's name is Will. Edit 2, reading through all the comments, when I woke up I wanted to let y'all know that I was working at PetSmart, as were the above mentioned. When news broke the next morning we were all granted time off, if we needed it, and they also provided us with counseling if we chose. Guy I knew from Sioux Falls, SD was convicted of many counts of rape on a child. My kids had spent time w him, he was a family friend and I called him uncle. I had suspicions, and cut off contact. Couple years later, he was arrested and convicted. He was only interested in boys. My son swears this dude didn't touch him. I hope he rots. Are justified, but my grandmother was molested by a neighbor at a very young age. Her father murdered him and was never caught. A cousin had his 2 young children call their mom, they were divorced, and it was his weekend with them, to say goodnight. He put them to bed and shot them dead before pulling the gun on himself. My mother attempted suicide in front of me. She called me downstairs to witness her take a bottle of pills and then told me it was my fault. I was 9. Mum survived, but I've never been able to let that go. She still believes she's fine and everyone else is the problem. I have compassion for her, but I can't have her in my life. I'm a 42-year-old mother and I can't fathom doing that. Her 2-year-old daughter drowned under suspicious circumstances. Nothing could be proved. About 3 years or so later, she had another kid. Also drowned under suspicious circumstances. She was investigated but found nothing, attributed to coincidence. Couple more years later, she had a 3rd kid with her man. Father came home early to find that she wasn't in the house, but his son was left alone in the bathtub. He was dead by that point. She got slapped with 3 murder charges and life. My brother robbed a pizza guy. Twice. He called for a pizza in a park, and when the pizzaman arrived he pulled a knife on him. High on Xanax, I assume he went to sleep, woke up thinking it was a dream and said, Wow, that was a great idea, I better try it tonight. So he did the exact same thing and the pizza guy came and hit him with a golf club. My brother absolutely deserved it. Pizza delivery guys are like holy saints of the modern world and shouldn't be touched or messed with. One of my long-term employees was often late, claiming his neighbors had kept him up all night, or he was unwell with migraines, etc. My wife suffers with migraines, and we had shitty neighbors too, so I gave him the benefit of the doubt. One day he didn't show up, and I couldn't get hold of him. After a couple of hours, the police show up to tell me his place was raided at dawn and they've arrested him for downloading and distributing child porn. Turns out he was spending all night doing that nasty and then showing up for work knackered, and I accepted his apologies and excuses for years because he was good at his job. Someone I was close friends with till college was raping his wife's daughters from her first marriage for years. He was also filming it and distributed the material and was teaching other pedos internet security and how to use the dark web. Laptop involved in a sting in the UK undid all his careful trail covering. The investigation revealed over a decade of traceable data of his activities building a CP criminal network. Don't like to think about it. A guy I knew killed his father in front of his mother and younger brother trying to protect his mum from severe abuse. After he served his sentence, the family accepted him back, and they've been living a normal life to this day.